Your boy is back. This program is called Philanthropy and Focus. Your boy is called the Nonprofit Sector Connector. I know that's what I'm called because I made it up and I had it printed on my business card. The one and only, the kid Tommy D, coming at you 2 flights up from the kitchen, extra caffeinated this morning. The show, again, I say Philanthropy and Focus. And my focus is to help nonprofit organizations tell their story and amplify their message. We're in the 180s of episodes on a plan of 5,000. I'm going to do this show 5,000 times. Last night I was at North Shore TV, not too far from the attic, in fact, and we had a little wine tasting fundraiser. A couple dozen folks got together. I'm going to do a TV show over there where I'm going to bring the leaders that are doing great work. Sometimes they'll be young people, sometimes they'll be older people just doing great work on Long Island. Sometimes they'll run nonprofits, sometimes they won't be involved in the nonprofit sector at all, but they're just changing the world. I like to highlight great work that's being done. And as it relates to this show, it's whatever happened, like at the end of Willy Wonka, right? I always say, Charlie and Willie are talking and he says, Charlie, don't forget what happened to the little boy who got everything he ever wanted. And then Charlie says, what's that, Willie? He lived happily ever after. So I get to do this show, and this makes me happy going into my weekend, but I will do the show eventually. Every morning, we're going to do this. Every morning, Monday through Friday, we'll have a program called Philanthropy and Focus. My guest today, this is a long-awaited situation. Patrick Bardsley, good morning, sir. How are you?
Hello, Tommy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good, man. I tell you, I met with a colleague, the CEO of the American Red Cross of Long Island. We had coffee this morning. I'm on my second or third cup of coffee, so I got some extra Joe in the system, as they say. But you know what? But I'm also flying high on the fact that I get to do this every week and I get to meet with nonprofit leaders. And just about a week and a half ago, my friend Neela Mukherjee Lakel has been on the show, but she was also with me with 2 other friends of ours at the Nassau County Bar Association. I'm talking about hashtag ending the stigma together. Ending the stigma as it relates to the mental health conversation. We must have these conversations. And it came up in the coffee meeting I had this morning. It came up at the event with my friend Jennifer Shapiro-Lee, psychotherapist, was there from JSL Wellness last night. And we constantly have to have this conversation. We also have to, and I know Patrick and I are going to talk about this today, but we also have to give people the accessibility. It's not when we talk about the IDD or intellectually and developmentally disabled population, right? We're talking about giving people access. Right.
Right.
In my opinion, man, it's not about ability. It's about giving people access to do great things and excel. And I will tell you this, not to make this about me, because I do my best not to make this show about me. But when I learned out I got the good old ADHD, man, my whole life I thought I was neurotypical. People around me go, no, dude, you had this up forever, man. We all knew. But when I learned that I had it, I realized we all have these different abilities. And when we can focus on, shout out to Spirit of Huntington Art Center, Artworks, shout out to my friend Christine Fitzpatrick from League of Yes,
Yeah.
shout out to, right? I know she's going to be doing some work with you all, so shout out to all these people who are on the front lines. And certainly that's a lot of where we're going to go today as it relates to Spectrum Design, Spectrum Suds, and Nicholas Center. And Patrick, there's so much to talk about. But gang, it's about shining a light on the great work that's being done. And I'll say it again, it's about making things accessible and man, if you came to me and you said, hey, Tommy D, let's focus on all the things you're not good at and the things you don't have an ability to do. Wow, that would be no good.
Right, right, right.
Patrick, without further ado, man, founder, co-founder, CEO of this organization, this group of organizations, really. I'm jazzed to have you here. We first met when you were on a panel discussion and I was the moderator for the
Yeah.
Nonprofit Resource Hub, which is an organization we founded, gang. If you don't know, nonprofitresourcehub.org.org. So let's just get into it, man, because like we talked about earlier in the week in a couple moments this morning, it's about you, your background, the organization. That's what people want to hear about. I used to watch this show on A&E called Biography. It was great, told people stories. I like stories.
Yeah.
I remember being at Hershey Park not too long ago. And when you're in, like, if you stay at the Hershey Hotel, the Milton Hershey story just continues. It's on like replay. So you can continue to watch the story, like wherever you get to the middle of the story, maybe you can watch the beginning of the story later. So, but I love stories about people's journey, man, so the hero's journey. So tell me about your journey and how this organization came to be. Please, sir, take it away.
Thank you, thank you. So you might have guessed, not a New York native. Kind of comes out pretty quickly. I grew up in the United Kingdom, and so when I was 18 years old, my story sort of began with an opportunity to go and work at a summer camp. a special needs summer camp. I got placed at a special needs summer camp in upstate New York near New Paltz.
Yeah.
And honestly, hand in the air, like I didn't necessarily, that wasn't my first choice, right? I wanted to teach soccer, or I wanted to do all these things. No connection, no experience, no nothing.
Right.
And needless to say, within the first few weeks, my whole life and outlook changed, right? I'm this kind of vain, self-centered, the world revolves around me, 18-year-old kid, and center of my own universe. And all of a sudden, I'm living each day with the needs of someone else in front of mine. And that was super humbling. I remember waking up in the morning and it's raining and it's camp food and I'm tired and there are mosquito bugs and I'm feeling sorry for myself. And I look over at one of the campers, who's been dealt a completely different hand to me, and one on paper that would be, definitely considered, not as good. And I'm like, there's a big smile on their face, and I'm like, what right do I have to feel sorry for myself? What right do I have to not wake up with that smile on my face? And so my whole life changed in that summer. I came back for summer after summer. And I got to know my co-founder, Stella Spanakos, who's the co-founder of the Nicholas Center, and Nicole Segru of the Nicholas Center. And just kind of the same conversations over and over again with parents of children on the autism spectrum or with some form of developmental disability. The same conversation, the recurring theme around what happens next, right? What happens when the school bus stops coming? What happens when they graduate high school? What happens when parents get older, right? The natural order of things. And when you have a child, I think your focus is, I got to get this, I want this child to have a better life than mine, and I want them to be independent and safe and happy, and so I can pass on and then they can do the same, right? And it just goes and goes. When you have a child with a disability, that whole order of things changes, right? And I remember one conversation I had at the end of the summer with a parent. And I always love to be like, hey, what are they doing? So, you're picking them up and, where are they going? They go back to school, whatever. What happens? What are they doing next? And she just broke down and said, no, I don't know. I don't know what happens next. There's no program. School's finished. Forget employment, forget, housing. And just, they call it a cliff, falling off the cliff. And so that conversation stuck with me, and I remember she said my one wish, and it's hard for me to kind of repeat this because it's so profound. She said, my one wish is just to live one day longer than my son, so that I can be there forever to take care of him, and no parent should wish that, right? So from then on, I kind of got this bug in me that I was like, someone's got to kind of try and help with that. And so I was fortunate enough to come over here in 2010 after finishing my undergraduate in the UK, and ultimately co-found Spectrum Designs and the Nicholas Center with Stella and Nicole. Nicholas Center being that kind of human service program named after Nicholas, Stella's son, who was the individual I worked with at camp. And so we were like, we got to create an adult program that's going to help, vocational training, health and wellness, arts, music, all this great stuff. But we're also need employment. And so that's when Spectrum Designs was kind of thought up as a social enterprise that I now run, and really a business that was born out of necessity. An 80% unemployment rate, 80 to 85% unemployment rate nationwide. It's about 70% in New York State. And people with disabilities make up the largest minority group on the planet, at about 25%, 1 in 4 people. It's also pretty much the only minority group that you can join at any time.
Yes.
And people don't always think that. And so, for me, those unemployment numbers are just unacceptable. And they were then, and when we co-founded this in 2011, and they still are. And the Department of Labor set a goal of 7% of people in work being represented as having a disability, which is still way off the 25% that is in the general population. So we started then. We've, fast forward to where we are now. Spectrum Designs has 75 employees, 52 are disclosed or as being on the autism spectrum. So it's about 65% of our workforce. And we do a ton of printing at Spectrum Designs. We do, we're a merchandise and brand company. And then we also have Spectrum Suds, which is a boutique laundry business, both on Long Island in Port Washington. And then we also have a location for the printing in Westchester and Pleasantville.
And we're going to get into all those specifics of that like what it looks like the day in and day out operation. But like, I just want to say, um, we have our family foundation, as you and I have talked about, the Lindy Lou Foundation.
Yeah.
My Aunt Ellen and my cousins founded the Lindy Lou Foundation, and for a number of years, I've been on the board because I got a big mouth and I know a lot of people. So they said, "Tommy D, we need you to do some
It
stuff."
helps, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it helps. It helps. And I will tell you, it's unfortunately, we lost Linda at 31 years old, and we don't get her back, right? However, the legacy, whether it be the money we've donated to Horseability, the money
Yeah.
we've donated to Spirit of Huntington Arts Center, right? The just the dozens and dozens of organizations, Backyard Players and Friends, folks from the corporate source. We had sent some of the adults in the programs there to a Met game a couple of years back. I don't know. We've always got our T-shirts and stuff made up by Spectrum Design, so
Yeah.
it's like it's Linda's legacy that we're always thinking about, and
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what's so important to me. And I remember, that that cliff that you talk about, that's raising four of my own children. You know, I realize how our lens changes, Patrick. Our
Yeah.
lens, just how we see the world and things like that.
Yeah.
And our goal as adults is to take these young people and make them self-sustainable, right? And give them an opportunity. And I'm in it right now, man. Listen, I had to get four kids off to school this morning, and that is not the easiest thing. And
Caffeination, yeah.
I talk about our challenges around mental health, and my mental health gets challenged every morning between
Right.
the hours of 6 a.m. to 8:30, to be honest with you, man. And it's like it's getting them to the point where they can do what they have to do. And people who have children with different abilities may have more concerns around this, because you come out at 21, and you kind of fall out, as you say, fall off the cliff, and what's next? And I say it's not right that all these people who have such ability just need access. There's a lot I want to talk to you about too, because I wrote down, I have a colleague of mine who is an advocate as it comes to people with disabilities in the workforce, because it's one thing for big companies to say, hey, we want to be accessible, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion,
Yeah.
accessibility, belonging. We want to do that, but then I think it's not always. They don't really know sometimes, companies, what they actually have to do to give the accommodations that what people just need. It's just straight up. This is not about judgment. People need these different accommodations. And I don't know that the employers are always educated. Certainly, people who don't have a disability can't see the world or touch the world or feel the world from someone who can.
Right.
So it needs to be like, we need to be informed. So we get back from breaking stuff and we talk about it. I want to kind of understand like because you guys have been on this mission for a number of years now and what it's looked like. And but my applause is out to you and the team, because you're changing the world, man. That's just what it is. It's just straight up. That's what's going on here. And it's the leadership of people like you, young 18-year-old kid, right? Who might have had a different vision of the world. Life gets changed by meeting. I didn't know it was Nicholas. I didn't know that story. That's
Yeah. Yeah. That was his one-on-one. Yeah.
yeah. So before we go to break, do you know John McGuigan?
Name rings a bell. I'm not sure.
So John he's the CEO of AHRC Suffolk County, and he's got
Okay.
a kind of similar type story to yours, man.
Okay. I
We
gotta
got
talk to him.
yeah, we got to make that happen. I didn't
If I
realize.
only knew a connector.
Yeah, if you knew a guy who was like the nonprofit sector,
Yeah.
maybe there's a guy.
Yeah,
Maybe
if you can introduce me to him, that'd be great.
I will make that happen. Now, the connector or to
The
John.
connector, yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. I got a guy on my cell phone. I'll text this guy Tommy Dean a little bit.
Cool.
Okay, we're going to go to commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get into it with Patrick Bardsley. We're going to talk about the organization, the impact they're making. I want to talk a little bit Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small business. I didn't know you were involved in that program. My friend Katie McGowan, founder and executive director of Horseability, is also a graduate of that program.
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody the other night. I went to one of those meetings for that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is like a huge undertaking. And friends of mine who've been through the program, that's no joke, man. That
Yeah.
is no joke. It's a lot of effort that you put into that. But and so I'd like to talk to you about that. So look, gang, every week we're here. We'll be right back in a second. Patrick Bardsley and Tommy D in the attic.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Brancu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
If you don't have your health, what do you really have? It's time to feel good in your body and shift from struggle to ease. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul, where we explore the sacred wisdom of your body while you sit back, relax, and go on a journey of self-discovery. Join me every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to awaken your heart, transform your well-being, and unlock a deeper understanding of yourself.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC. Uplift, educate, empower.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
What a tune, man. What a tune.
That's great.
Isn't that great, Patrick?
I love that. Love that.
Oh, listen, 2 flights up from the kitchen, gang. That's where I get my coffee, in the attic. And it's funny, like this was like a room that the rest of the family used to use. And right before COVID, or like early, my wife said, we're moving your office up to the attic. And that was like February of 2020.
Right.
And then I became like this guy in an attic, and that's how this all started, man. And that's when I started the show January 8th, 2021. Like I say, 3 years into this game, and we're just getting started because there's so many organizations like yours that are doing the important work. I'm reading statistics. So you're chairman of the board for New York State Industries for the Disabled. You played a crucial role in creating more than 4,700 jobs for New Yorkers with disabilities, which resulted, gang, listen to this, almost $80 million in wages in 2023. Now, these are people that I know it's not just you doing this, Patrick. It's a team. It's the entire organization, right? But, you don't simply just run your organization. I mean, you're a leader on the forefront of doing this work. We talked a little bit right before the break about Goldman Sachs 10K. I want to talk about that. You didn't like say, well, my life has changed and I'm going to do this job and we're going to create this organization and that's what I'm going to do. No, you just you're all in, man. Like, tell me about that and your commitment to this space.
Yeah, I think, thanks, Tommy. I think it's kind of, I don't know, I don't believe in doing anything by half, right? Like if I'm doing something, the way you do anything is the way you do everything, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, and also like, I felt like we stumbled upon a really great business model. The mission was just like crystal clear to me. So whenever someone reaches out and says, hey, I want to try and replicate, or I want to impact more people, like, of course, like, I'm going to say yes, because also like we need like 1,000 Spectrum designs, right? And Suds and Nicholas Sanders, like we need big corporations to be inclusive as well and accessible. And so wherever I can help, that's what I'm going to do, because in a lot of ways, however large I feel like our impact is, like we're kind of a drop in the ocean, of what's needed. And of course I'm from the UK, so I have this like dream of setting something up there one day too. So I've always kind of like felt like I've kind of left my homeland. But I also I'm very committed to being here in the States. So.
Let me ask you that, because I will tell you that I got engaged. My wife and I got engaged in London. We were staying at the Ritz when I was actually
nice.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not bougie like that. I mean, maybe a little bit,
Ritz guy.
but I was there because I was working for a company called ADP, the big payroll
Yeah, yeah,
company,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they used to send us on the President's Club. So we got engaged over there. But I don't know the UK that much. I don't know much about Europe as it relates to some of the similar type challenges. So my curiosity is in other parts of the world, in your experience, are they better at what we're talking about? Are they worse? Like, do they have different strategies around making things accessible and having a focus on and supporting people like this?
So I think, yeah, it's a great question. You know, in a lot of ways, America is, you know, the American dream, the rags to riches story, right? Social enterprise. Like, I don't think there's a country in the world where spectrum designs could do as well as in America, because you've got people here who love and believe in the underdog story and believe in small business and, like, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of thing, you know. And so I do believe that, like, social enterprise is probably further advanced in America in a lot of ways from a private sector point of view. But from a government support, you know, of course, like, you know, England, the UK is probably more supportive of entities like ours. There's more government support, and that's a philosophical, you know, what, maybe even political kind of discussion. But yeah, I mean, the truth is, I mean, I moved here when I was 22, so I didn't really have a career in the UK. So I could be dating myself as well, but I definitely feel like, you know, there's this commitment in America to to being better, right? And looking at yourself in the mirror and going, okay, look, we've done quite well, but how can we keep improving, you know? And that's pretty uniquely American. I also think about, like, the saying only in, right? And so if you say only in Britain, you'd be like, only in Britain does it rain all the time? Do we have traffic? Do we, you know, we have to wait 6 months to get a knee operation or whatever, right? And you take that same sentence and you go, only in America. Only in America do we put a man on the moon, right? Do we invent a cure for, or are we the first to get the vaccinations or whatever it is, right? America is always, only in America do we have, like, Super Bowls and all this stuff, you know. So there's an amazing thing about living in the States, and that kind of belief that that there's always something we can strive towards.
I love that. So last night I mentioned I was at the North Shore TV, which is a public access TV station, which I'm going to start doing the show, and you'll have to come by. We'll talk about the
Yeah.
topics and stuff. And they're right on the campus of one of the Northwell health systems. And there's a picture, and I'll post it later on, everybody. But Dr. Sandra Lindsay was the first person to get the vaccine, and from Northwell. Now, many people don't know, although I probably shared it on the show. I emceed an event for Little Flower, which is a big nonprofit here on Long Island, also serving individuals in the foster system in the boroughs of New York City. And one day, my friend Nyrekia White, who's over at Long Island Children's Museum, who I will see, Nyrekia, if you listen, and I know you listen a lot, hey, what's up? I'll be with Nyrekia and the team at Long Island Children's Museum on next Thursday night for their gala, cupcakes and cocktails. But Nyrekia says to me, hey, Tommy D, listen, thanks for emceeing the event. Glad you're going to play in a golf outing. Do you know who Dr. Sandra Lindsay is? And I think I said yes, and then Googled it really quick to see. And then, so long story short, my friend Brendan Levy, who's the singer of the song you just heard and you were complimenting us on.
Oh, I love that.
So Brendan and I were playing in that outing, and we played with Dr. Sandra Lindsay in the Little Flower golf outing. And I got to teach Dr. Sandra Lindsay how to play golf. And Patrick, you don't know this about me, I shouldn't be teaching anyone how to play golf. I shouldn't be teaching my 9-year-old son how to play golf. So,
yeah.
So that's just kind of how funny how the arc of the story, but that innovation that you're talking about in this country, like, let's go, man, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
I love that. Let's define for people who might not know that term used, social enterprise. Like, what does that mean to you, and really, what does that mean to the folks over by you and the world?
Yeah, so social enterprise is to me is just taking business and using it for social good, right? So, like, you could also call it, like, altruistic capitalism, right? But basically it's like saying, hey, we can use business to solve some of our biggest problems. In a lot of instances, we need business to solve a lot of our problems, right? You need a kind of combination of government, business, corporate sector, and nonprofits, I think, to coalesce and solve a lot of issues that we have, if not all of them. But social enterprise is essentially a business that puts people and planet first, and says, hey, let's Let's we're essentially a t-shirt business, right? We make t-shirts, we make pens, we make mugs, all these things. And without our mission, that's what we are, and that's great. But obviously we're committed to our mission, which is employing those on the spectrum in everything that we're doing. And so it's really just using good business practices to try and make the world a better place. And I think what I'm seeing a trend in, generational shift with millennials and Gen Zs, entering the workforce is there's a greater focus now on social impact than there's ever been, I think, right? I think corporations are being measured less by their stock price and what they can do for their shareholders and as much on what are they doing into the environment, what are they doing in the communities that they serve, how are they impacting those who are least advantaged, and what are the volunteer opportunities, so it's a great moment for social enterprise. And I think what's pretty awesome about it in such a divisive time in the world, it's non-part, right? There's no partisanship when it comes to that, right? You're taking economic social good that lowers dependence on Social Security, generates taxpayers, stimulates the local economy with people renting apartments or buying homes or going to the deli and the movie theaters, right? That's the economic side. And guess what? The social side, you're helping those who are otherwise excluded, marginalized, not included in the opportunity for the American dream, right? They're living in our communities. They're able to access all the things, the non-tangible benefits of work, like friendships and self-worth and structure and routine and like just the contribution to something, and those are the things that we all obviously we need to get a paycheck, but that's like number 3 most of the time on most employees needs. A lot of it is the stuff you can't really measure, like relationships and social interaction and structure and routine. And so I think when social enterprise essentially combines that economic and that social together, and people kind of go, all right, yeah, that's a pretty good thing. I don't mind that. And it's also, we talk about it all the time, and this probably drives you crazy, Tommy, but a lot of times when the nonprofit designation is misunderstood too, people hear nonprofit, they hear charity, and oh, it's a handout, and we're always telling people it's a hand up,
Right.
and you're just giving people who otherwise haven't had a level playing field start, and you're leveling it a little bit. And wow, when that happens, I feel like that's where the magic is.
Yeah. I'm running out of things to say when you just you're solving all the problems, because it burns me up when it's hat in hand, man. Look, my message.
Right.
Here's my hat in hand. Can we please, sir?
Right. Worthy of the crumbs from your table.
Oh, please, if you could help us. No nonsense, shenanigans.
Oliver Twist.
Right, Oliver Twist. May I have some more? More?
Good, more, boy. Yeah.
Oh man, we're gonna have fun together, you and me, for sure. It's really no. These, there's a lot going on right now here on Long Island, and people plug in from all around the world to pay attention to what we're doing here. But a lot going on as it relates to compensation for leaders of nonprofits, specifically in Suffolk County. And there's some I'll call shenanigans on it, but there's some stuff going on that I don't agree with. And it's because people don't understand what this sector is. Don't worry about it. Why? And I can't go into that now, gang, but here's what it is. They're trying to cap compensation for leaders of nonprofit organizations and dollars that quote unquote come from Suffolk County, because I use air quotes for a reason, but that come from Suffolk County would be limited. And it's going to be the legislation that's being discussed is there would be limits on how these organizations get funding. Look, the point is, if these nonprofits don't run these programs and don't do this work, don't you dare tell me that the government's going to step in and do this freaking work. Come on, man. What are we even talking about? Something you said about the social enterprise piece for me too. It's wow, look at you, Patrick Bardsley, and other folks in this work. Economic and social impact together. Wow. So we're not just making more refrigerators and more cars that planned obsolescence, so we got to buy them again. No, we're empowering people and pulling them up and giving them what they need. And wow, how dare you, Patrick? That's good. And yeah, shame on you. And for all the negative things that are said about the younger people in this country, and I imagine on this planet right now, I don't agree with what is said about the millennials are lazy. The millennials, shut up. Shut up, really. But to say that type of thing, if there is anything negative, well, whatever, I'm going to put it aside. It's all nonsense. But the positive of these young people, and that just that, and they don't have to be young, but people who are focused on bringing people up. That's incredible. So I don't promote a lot of my business on the show here that much, but obviously, Vanguard Benefits is our insurance agency, but my newest venture is the Philanthropy Network of New York. And something you said about companies and having this corporate social responsibility and people and planet and the social return on investment and all these types of things. We have this venture, Philanthropy Network of New York, and what we do is we partner up with for-profit companies who become our clients, and then we do volunteer days of service at least once, sometimes twice a month, that the employees of our companies plug into. And we're growing and we're having a really exciting time. And I bring it up because candidates and your employees are looking at you to see what it is you're doing in the world. I'm speaking to you, corporations and companies and businesses and leaders. They're looking at you. They want to know what you're doing. Of course, it's nice to get a 15th and 30th paycheck and you pay into somebody's health insurance, but what are you doing? So I just encourage you folks to pay attention. You don't have to work with Philanthropy Network in New York, but what is your corporate social responsibility program? What are you doing in the community? I want to know. Anyway, Patrick, we're gonna go to a break, but I get up on the soapbox, baby. It's just part of the show.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. So when we come back, I want to talk. What does it look like programmatically? Like you have the Nicholas Center, right? You have Spectrum Designs, you have Spectrum Suds. What does all of that look like? And what is the day in the life of these 65% of your staff you said are on the autism spectrum, right? Thank you for that. Just like on the other show I do it's the Professionals and Animal Lovers show, my co-host and partner has pom-poms. I don't have my own set of pom-poms. I probably shouldn't have pom-poms, but we don't have them on the show. But I just applaud you. But when we come back, what are those people doing day in and day out? I'm on this whole campaign about ending the stigma. I have a lot of swag that I'm going to be putting together, and I think we got to work it out where your team is making this stuff. So we'll talk about that. So we come back. Yeah, absolutely. So we come back. What do the organizations look like? What are the programs? And we'll get to how can we help later on. So we'll be right back. Commercial time. Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host a program, Philanthropy in Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Were you an essential worker during the pandemic? If you needed to learn stages of epilepsy, did you depend on advocates? Did you use new innovations to cope with mental and neurological issues? Maintaining high quality of life and keeping good mental health are what we all strive for. I'm Frank R. Harrison, host of Frank About Health, and each week top healthcare influencers, professionals, and innovators answer these questions and more. Stay tuned on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on talkradio.nyc, and I will continue to be frank about health with all of you.
If you don't have your health, what do you really have? It's time to feel good in your body and shift from struggle to ease. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul, where we explore the sacred wisdom of your body while you sit back, relax, and go on a journey of self-discovery. Join me every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to awaken your heart, transform your well-being, and unlock a deeper understanding of yourself.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
I see you, Bardsley. I see you dancing. I see you dancing, man. It's a catchy.
Yeah, it's contagious.
It is a catchy tune. I used to tell my guests back in the day, hey, man, by the third commercial break, you got to sing it with me. So I don't do that anymore because I try to make people feel very comfortable here. And then not everybody wants to sing. But I always want to sing, even though when it's not appropriate, I break out into song. All right. So co-founder, CEO, Spectrum Designs Foundation. In your role, you oversee the day-to-day operations of both Spectrum Designs and Spectrum Suds. That's great. What does that mean?
Oh, it's the best job in the world, Tommy. I mean, no 2 days are the same. I get to see people get their first paycheck, at 35 years old. I get to have conversations with parents that stop me in my tracks. I had one, a few years back. We were super busy. We were running, we were running stuff for I think it was like the Knicks or the Rangers. We were doing the playoff shirts.
Yeah.
And we were running a Saturday shift because we just didn't have enough time. It's 20,000 shirts, Madison Square Garden, and so I called one of the parents. I said, hey, can Greg work this weekend? I need him on Saturday for a few hours, because, and his mom said to me, no one's ever told me they needed my son before, and he's in his 30s, and I said, that's really nice, but can he come in? I still need him, Yeah. So
get him over here by 9:30.
yeah, exactly. Very sweet. But no, so it also says, so that's the best part of it. But we're a company that when we first started out, and we've gone under a little transformation in the last few years, but essentially we were kind of like, for the first 10 years, I would say, we were super proud and happy to have people with disabilities, varying disabilities, making things, right? A company with people making things, working on the shop floor, working on machines, doing things, and it was a great achievement. But I feel like in the last 12 months, we've really looked at ourselves and said, how do we go from a company where people with disabilities make things to a company made up of people with disabilities? And there's a major difference there, right? Where do we have people with disabilities in different parts of the company, and when I say that, I mean administration, I mean marketing, I mean managerial roles. Right. And the truth was, when we did that analysis a year ago, we weren't there. And so
what does that mean for you though? Because I want to understand that, bring the pain, because why that, so look, are we really doing the work? It sounds like.
Yeah. And also, are we just kind of pigeonholing people and going, okay, aren't we the best? Patting ourselves on the back. We've got people in the warehouse. We've got people on machines. We've got people, making that kind of, those kinds of jobs. Are we actually underemploying people, right? Do we have people here who actually have skills and qualifications far beyond than what we're even giving them access to? And the truth was, we did. We had a couple of people who went on, we promoted to be managers, who we put into our marketing team. Our marketing team is now fully neurodiverse. That's huge. And that marketing team, by the way, took us viral a month ago. We had a video that got 20 million views. We went 7,000 followers on Instagram to 100,000 followers, made by an autistic social media guru. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she's a guru now. Right. So my point of that story is we, even as a company that prides ourselves on being the beacon of neurodiverse, employment, we had work to do, and then guess what? We did it, and we're a much better company because of it. And so those are the things I get to do every single day that I love, and the challenges. And I think that's the message that we want to share now is we should be hiring people with disabilities and including and providing access from the boardroom to the mailroom and everywhere in between, right? And so
good on you. Honestly, good on you, because we can get caught up in, we're doing the work, man. Look at us.
Great.
You're but maybe this goes back to that thing about, the states, and what it's like to be, and it's constantly iterating. Let's get better. How can we improve? How can we elevate? How can we change? And sometimes, not sometimes, oftentimes ego can get in the way of that. And right. And then it's just well, we're doing it already. But
right.
Way to be vulnerable and humble and go, maybe we're not doing it the best. I love that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so the way that the structure works is, obviously we have the social enterprises of Spectrum Suds, the laundry business, and then Spectrum Designs, the apparel business, and then we work in partnership with the Nicholas Center as the human service agency to provide the job coaches, the talent stream. They're recruiting and bringing people in. They're providing, they're crucial to us being able to deliver on our mission, because we also don't just believe in hiring. Autism spectrum disorder is a continuum, right? So you could fall at different levels of support needs, right? You could have someone who would have traditionally been considered Asperger's, who or neurodiverse, maybe ADHD or something else, or OCD, who needs no job coaching or very little whatsoever, just some natural support, maybe a check-in once a month, all the way to someone who needs like a one-on-one job coach always. And we philosophically try and hire across that spectrum. We don't just want to fill the place with people who would be considered supremely independent, because that's not really moving the needle either. And what we found is that even the employees who maybe need more support, once trained and once that job coach is able to back up a little bit, they're super productive and fill roles that we need filling, and any business would need filling. So it's just about giving people a shot and keeping an open mind, I think, Tommy.
Yeah. So did you have to, in your mind, did you have to be a nonprofit? Like, is there, because again, I'm not, I love it. I had a young man on my show. Yeah, I had a young man on my show, Dylan Zajac, about a month and a half ago, and he's actually, his organization, Computers for People, is a finalist. This guy's great. I want you to meet him. He's a young man. He's in college right now. He founded this organization when he was 16. They've put 3,000 refurbished computers and devices, 3,000, into the hands of people who need devices, and it's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And I asked him a similar type question, because he philosophically wanted to create a nonprofit versus a for-profit. And there's a kid who's in business school. He's got the organization. They got an office in Boston. They got an office in Hoboken. He runs up and down from Hoboken, drives up and down. He doesn't run. I mean, he could run. He's a young man. But so, I'm sorry, Dylan, if you want to run, whatever you want to do. But he goes back and forth. And the reason I'm asking you that is because there is a key differentiator when that, maybe the decision, you probably didn't have the vision of what this would be now. So I'm curious about that. And we don't need to get into really the tax filing status of nonprofit versus for-profits. It's a whole nother thing you and I could do one day. But what about that, as it being a nonprofit versus a for-profit? What's the benefits and maybe some of the challenges too?
Yeah, so the benefits, I think, are transparency, right? Like whenever you're working with a vulnerable population, people unfortunately are going to assume, that there's bad actors, right? So the fact that we can be super transparent about, all the proceeds going back in and the programmatic expense by filing our, 990 and everything every year, so that if someone questions what we're doing, they can just look, right? So that's really great. Obviously, you can get grants. That's super helpful, because a lot of the stuff with, we have capital needs. We buy $50,000 pieces of equipment, 100. So if someone can say, hey, I can tie 4 jobs to that piece of equipment, I'm going to give you the grant for it. That's a great grant writing opportunity right there. And then obviously some donations and things like that. But as a social enterprise, we really try to minimize. Every year we set a budget where we try and minimize any needs for grants and fundraising to like 10% or less, so that 90%, and honestly, it should be at 100, but like, it's hard because we're also doing some non-profit-y things, right? That a typical screen printing company wouldn't do, right? And so, so there might always be some gap. The other side of that, though, is by not being a for-profit, no one can invest in us, right? We want to grow our impact. I've had people come to me, angel investors, who've gone, well, I want you to be in LA. I want you to be in Florida. I want you to be here. I'll take 5% of the company, and here's $1 million. And you can't do that as a nonprofit. No one owns a nonprofit. It's the people's business, and so that's a disadvantage. But I think I liken it to, look, we're going to get there in the end. It might just mean that we, instead of taking a helicopter, we're going to have to take, Greyhound or whatever, or whatever, or we're going to have to hitchhike. But like, eventually nonprofits get there. It's just, it's going to be a little slower because we don't have the ability for people to invest and take it to the next level, which does limit our impact. So, but I still overall think it's better to be a nonprofit because of the transparency. Because as we grow, I think there is an inherent trust in nonprofits, and it's great to be able to say, look, 100% of our proceeds go back into the mission, because that's how it is. When nonprofits do that, that's how it is.
Yeah, I think it's critically important to go over that distinction, and I love how the VC guy didn't get it.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I love it, I'll buy in, and you're like,
I'll give you 5%. Yeah,
sorry, I can't do that.
I love that though. But again, I like to hear that people's hearts are in the right place. If that was
exactly.
So I think what for me is always important is to find out, like, what is the vision and how can we help? And I always say, Apache, because like, who's the connections? Who, you mentioned the Knicks, you mentioned the Rangers. Those are big names here in New York. Those are big names on this planet, right? I mean, this is it. This is the Mecca, right? So what is when we come back from break, like what is the vision for the future? How big can you get? How do we help? Like on a local basis, I mean, it's funny. The fact that the Lindy Lou Foundation has been working with Spectrum for our church for such a long time. I mean, that's the whole thing about what it's Linda's legacy, right? In our family. So to see that, I want to be more helpful for you guys. I want to get the word out. I want you to do a bunch of stuff for me, for, like there are t-shirts that say Philanthropy and Focus with a drawing of myself that I wear like at least once a week.
I need one of those.
Yeah, I'll get you one. We'll get you hooked up for sure. And I will, but I'm going to ask you to wear my other t-shirt, which is hashtag ending the stigma together, because that is the one that we got it. It's critically important. We got to change the world.
Yeah.
But when we come back, it's how do we help you? What connections do you need? What does it look like? Is there somebody out there selling Spectrum? Meaning, is there a sales team that's going out and winning accounts? Like, I'm a sales guy. At the very end of the day, I'm a salesman, right? So I wonder about that. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about relationships. Are there things locally you're looking for, connections that we might be able to sort you out with? And that's that. So we'll be right back. How's that sound?
Sounds good, mate. Thank you.
Are you a high-achieving, growth-oriented leader? Are you interested in developing your authentic leadership while creating a healthy, inclusive workplace? Hi, I'm Dr. Mira Broncu, host of The Hard Skills on talkradio.nyc at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, where we discuss how leaders develop the hard skills needed to make a greater impact. We interview experts, have live coaching, and tackle these challenges. Listen to The Hard Skills on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talkradio.nyc.
Hey everybody, it's Tommy D, the nonprofit sector connector, coming at you from my attic. Each week here on talkradio.nyc, I host the program Philanthropy and Focus. Nonprofits impact us each and every day, and it's my focus to help them amplify their message and tell their story. Listen each week at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays, 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to Talk Radio NYC at www.talkradio.nyc. Now broadcasting 24 hours a day.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.
This is the lightning round. I don't know if you know this, Patrick Bardsley, but I always wanted to be a game show host. And guess what? I'm on my way, because I could just do whatever I want. I'm Tommy D. But I want to do that. I'm going to start a game show, and I think we're going to do like we'll call it like the nonprofit games. And we'll have like a show, and like nonprofit leaders like you come to the studio. And I don't know if they had this. You maybe had your own version in the UK, but I grew up watching Nickelodeon, and there was a show called Double Dare. I don't know if you ever seen that show, because I think I'm a few years ahead of you. And Double Dare was like a show where you did these wacky questions, and then you had to do like these wacky like physical challenges, right? And then they would dump like slime on people's head just for why not? Because there was slime around, so let's dump it on people's heads. But like maybe a show like that, like would you come on my show?
I've always wanted to get slime, so yeah, that'd be great. It's like a bucket list.
Oh, well, listen, it will be a very big bucket that we'll be using for you. Dumping it on your head. So this is the lightning round. This is that part of the show where like the bell rings, ding, 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 and like we're going to run out of time. We got to do stuff. So what's upcoming? Are there events? Are there people you want to meet? How can we help?
Well, a couple of things going on. We are, I forget to mention this every time. We've written a book called Inclusivity, that is a printing industry guide, but it's to employing people with disabilities. But honestly, it could go across any sector. And that's going to be released in October, which is National Disability Employment Awareness Month, also known as NDEAM. During October, we're also going to be having an open house in Westchester on October 1st at our Pleasantville site. For anyone who wants to come and see, we're going to be doing a campaign around disability employment awareness. And I think one of the things we always ask people for is there's a really straightforward way to help Spectrum Designs, and it's just, you know, ordering from the guys, right? Giving guys a shot, recommending them, saying, have you heard of this company? And next time you're ordering uniforms or shirts or swag or employee appreciation or customer appreciation, think about them. We obviously fundraise. We're going to do a capital campaign at the end of the year, but like, and that's great. And we always welcome support, but I definitely feel that, you know, orders are really where we can make kind of long lasting impact, because when we get a new customer, it not only has a direct, you know, impact on the team that are working on it, but pretty much we do a great job. I mean, you know, the team do an amazing job. And then that customer becomes a champion of what we do, and they tell 5 people, you know, and then it just goes from there. And that's kind of, as a nonprofit with a not huge marketing budget, that is one of the ways we get the most customers.
Is there somebody on the front line that's out there trying to make it rain, like a salesman, saleswoman, person?
Sort of, but we're still a nonprofit, so it's kind of me. It's, you know, we do have a business development team. We have an incredible marketing team, but we don't have like a sales division per se. So a lot of it is word of mouth, SEO, social media, things like this, right? Getting out there and telling those stories of our employees, you know. And I think the thing that we always stress to new customers, and this goes back to what we were talking about nonprofit, is like people hear nonprofit, they hear a business like ours, and they go, they're probably not going to be able to meet my needs. They're probably going to be too expensive. They're probably going to be slower. They're probably going to, is the quality going to be there, right? And so one of the things that we always try and put out into the world is that we don't expect people to pay more. We don't expect people to sacrifice quality. They're going to get better customer service. They're going to get it when they need it. And they're going to be super proud that they did what they did. Because supporting Spectrum Designs, like the mission should be the cherry on top, not the whole sundae, you know? And when you impact a nonprofit like ours, it's like you're getting all the things you need. And the mission is that just that little bit on the top that you go, thank you, I did this great thing. And hopefully you come back because of that, not because, you know, you supported our mission.
So I didn't sacrifice quality. I didn't sacrifice service. My product's going to be good, you know, not better. And then I get to tell the story. So it's not so dissimilar from our agency, Vanguard Benefits. We did our rebrand about a year and a half ago, and it was done by the team at the Spirit of Huntington Art Center, their artworks program. So that's my marketing team. I get to go out and say that the team that markets Vanguard Benefits in collaboration with our team is a neurodiverse community of individuals. That's what I get to say. And I get to go to the market every day and tell people. So I love storytelling. And you know, when I can get to tell the story that all the swag I'm out there producing, you know, is employing and empowering people with different abilities. That's where I get my stuff. That's the story, man. That's it. So I love that. How much, or rather, in what ways did your Goldman Sachs 10K small business, how did that inform your leadership and a lot of the work you're doing?
So I was, it's funny, we were talking about golf earlier. I had no formal training in golf and no formal training in business, right? So like I was kind of bequeathed the opportunity to run this social enterprise by being a co-founder, and kind of had to, you know, learn the other way around, right? So no business school, no nothing like that. So what Goldman Sachs 10KSB provided for me was that like 6-month kind of intensive, I mean, they call it like an MBA, like on steroids, because you do it in 6 months. And so I just got a ton of like great business experience doing it, met amazing people that I still talk to. I mean, I was in the class of 2018, 19, still meet with them monthly, still meet with people, still network. And what was interesting for me is it was not, I was the only nonprofit in the room with 30 people, right? So you're talking about just business owners who are wanting to 10x their business, right? But like the more I got to know everyone, the more people were like, well, actually, like I've been looking for, I want to be on a nonprofit board. I want to support. How can I help? How can I, like everyone, even though they're entrepreneurs and everything, like if they can add some social impact, that was one of the best things I got from it, was that everyone went, if they can, they want to, you know, they want to help. You know, you got to take care of your family and your home life and everything else. And then after that, it's your community. It's where you're living. It's the world you live on and habit. And so that was super encouraging and empowering for me to meet those group of people. And like I said, I still meet with them to this day, and I gained such valuable stuff. The other thing that was really valuable, I will say, is being out of the office for 1 day a week. You know, you learn how to work on your business and not in it, you know. And I was still printing UPS labels and still ordering the toilet paper, and it was like I couldn't do that anymore because I was out at this class, and other people had to I had to kind of get out of my own way in a lot of ways. And I think I got that from it too.
That's super empowering from an individual perspective, where it's just
Yeah.
like, I have this phrase I say to one of my colleagues and a partner in a project we work on, and I say to her, you can't afford to mow your own lawn. And
Yeah.
I don't mow my own lawn. I don't. I pay a guy named Douglas, and Douglas is incredible and he does a great job. And guess what? I get to go to my son's flag football game on a Friday night because Douglas is taking care of that. And it's not that I couldn't do it, but I choose not to do it. And I love this guy. He does a way better job. And I'm not spending half my day on a Saturday trying to fumble through figuring out how to use a lawn. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's because it's I need my focus and attention. I used to give my brother, I don't really talk about this story, but I'll do it now. I used to give my brother a hard time because like a lot of the things, he has an executive assistant who does a lot of things for him. And I used to give him the business and I go, what are you doing, bro? You can't do this, you can't do that. But he shouldn't be doing that. Right? Like he's a visionary. He's running a business, running several businesses. He should be there, in that. And it takes us to be pushed out of it and go, Patrick's not here. Patrick's not going to be here to do that today. He can't. Yeah. So you step away. And I mean, if you think in terms of like being like if you go to like Robert Kiyosaki or something like that, and you think about the difference between like the business owner and the investor and things, like if you could step away and the thing continues to go on without you being there, and I don't mean you, I just mean generally speaking, an individual, well, then you have a business that's
that's actually a mark of success, right?
Right. Yeah. They teach you. I'm sure. Paisley Denby was the guy.
Me too. Yeah.
So, and it's funny. A couple of years ago, I had a few friends that were in the same cohort. And it's such a great program. I always hear great things. And in fact, it's somebody I was talking to just this week, and I won't mention who it is, but I think she's reviewing to go into the next cohort.
And it's free. It's free. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It really is. What so we talked about events and things like that. Is there anybody, like a target collaborator, like, that you would say, oh, Tommy, do you know, or do you, even not just locally, but is there companies that you like to partner up with? Like, it doesn't have to be specific, but maybe it is.
Yeah, I always wish we could do more with nonprofits. I mean, we do a good amount with nonprofits, but like I always feel, and it's good that I know the nonprofit connector because I always feel that like working with nonprofits should be something that all nonprofits do, right? We all get focused on our own individual mission, right? Mine's neurodiverse employment. Someone else might be ending hunger. Someone else might be homelessness. Someone else might be mental health. But guess what? Like the guys I employ also disproportionately experience hunger, also disproportionately experience mental health challenges, also disproportionately experience incarceration and everything else. So like, and we all disproportionately experience like the planet and environmental changes. So like nonprofits can be quite siloed, and I would love to talk to more nonprofits about how we can help them. I run in other nonprofits 5Ks if we make the shirts and say, hey, look, we'll donate. We want to be on our logo, will be on the back. We'll give you a huge discount. Like, and I tell them if you're not working with us, ask your vendors that. Say, look, if we're ordering from you, we need, we want you to support us back. So honestly, as a global thing or as a bigger picture, like working with more nonprofits would be something I'd be super happy and proud to do because I love like helping and learning about other missions and causes that on the surface are completely different to my focus. But the minute I come up 5,000-10,000 square feet, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the same thing. And we're all in this together.
Careful what you wish for, my brother. Careful what you wish for. All right. Because now you are hanging out with the nonprofit sector connector, and I can make it happen. All right. Listen, we're going to make that happen. We're going to bring those relationships together. We got to bring the show to a close. There's another show coming up. Patrick Bardsley, final words before we go.
Just thank you so much, Tommy. Love your energy. Really appreciate the opportunity. And to anyone listening, I'm super available. I'd love to talk to you. And again, thanks so much.
You got it. The website, spectrumdesigns.org, spectrumdesigns.org. Tommy D at Philanthropy and Phocus, PHOCUS.com. If you want to send me an email or hit me up on LinkedIn. Not LinkedIn, but also on the Instagram. New Instagram. You got TommyD.NYC, but I put another one called the Nonprofit Sector Connector and a third called Ending the Stigma Together. Follow that stuff. Let's get it together. Patrick, thank you. Make it a great day, everybody. We'll see you next Friday.
Appreciate it, man.
Nonprofits need connections to move in good directions. So cut through all the static. Join Tommy in his attic.